It's always a pleasure to be around all of you amazing people. As you guys know, last week I wasn't here, but every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I come on live on TikTok and I do something called Empower Hour. And right now we're focused on a book, Unstoppable Self-Confidence, and that's what we're going through. And we're actually only in chapter 1. So if you're new to me, you haven't missed much. And if you're not, hey, welcome back. So we've been doing this for quite some time, and I'm really looking forward to get and dig into this with you guys today. But first, I really just want to kind of like breathe. You know, a lot of times when we start thinking about some of these things, we just need to breathe. We need to breathe, we need to breathe, we need to breathe. Unstoppable self-confidence. That's what we're trying to develop here. Trying to develop in all of you. How many of you, well, let's start with this. I had a quote. There was a quote in the book, introduction. You know when you're constantly trying to change or make yourself feel better, whether you put so much effort into that change, whatever it might be. It could be on a weight loss journey. It could be you're trying to develop more patience. It could be you're trying to control your emotions. It could be a lot of things. But often we are left with this feeling of failure. We are. And I came across this quote that I thought was like, whoa, right? It kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And the quote said, and it's by Dr. Stephen Maraboli, maybe the reason nothing seems to be fixing you is because you are not broken. Maybe the reason nothing seems to be fixing you is because you're not broken. Just let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in for a second. We spend a lot of our time criticizing ourselves, putting ourselves down, telling ourselves we can't, preventing ourselves from enjoying anything. We're quick to tell ourselves no. Very often. We block our blessings. We don't allow ourselves to enjoy life. We don't live and let be. So maybe all the efforts to try to change you that you have felt have been not successful, maybe we just need to shift the way we think about it. Maybe it was something that never needed to be fixed. And who's to say that it needed to be fixed? Was it you? Did it come from within? Or are you trying to fix yourself because of some undue pressure from the outside or other people? Guess it really depends on the situation, of course. But I wanted to start with that. Maybe the reason nothing seems to be fixing you is because you are not broken. That is true. It's fundamentally true. And he goes on to say, there's nothing wrong with you, and you do not need fixing. You already have everything you need to be confident and to live exactly the life that you want to live. You only need to unlearn all of the bad programming and incorrect thinking you've been giving to unleash the incredible power within you. Unlearn behaviors that are preventing you, that are holding you back, preventing you from feeling fixed, preventing you from feeling full and whole. We need to unlearn those behaviors that kept telling us no, that kept blocking our blessings, that didn't allow us to go on a date because we didn't feel comfortable in our own skin. We need to unlearn those behaviors of where we picked them up from. And most often than not, we picked them up from bad experiences in life, right? If you think about your past or past relationships, you must think about the type of person who that was. And I know none of us have really great things to say about our ex all the time, and I get that, right? Destroy, destroy, destroy. But at the same time, We need to unlearn the behaviors we learned from these people who were toxic in our life, who we once thought we can trust with our own heart, who we once thought we can trust in general, and we gave them so much power that they changed us. We allowed that. Just because they were a bad influence, just because a kid tells your child, here, smoke this cigarette, or do this drug, or do whatever. You teach your kids to say no to that, right? You teach your kids not to engage in those behaviors, and you hope that all that you've instilled in them will remain, will be demonstrated in life. We need to unlearn behaviors that people taught us, toxic people taught us, and remind ourselves that we are important, we are valuable, we are great, we can shine. We all have shining. We all have that ability to shine because it's right here. You already have everything you need to be confident. What makes you different from somebody who's confident is that they're demonstrating their behaviors differently. They're internalizing their experiences differently. It's not because you lack confidence, it's you lack the learning needed to be confident. And part of this whole series is going to cover what those competencies and skills and dispositions are that you need to become confident. But not only become confident, but to become so confident and beyond in your own skin that you leap to new heights. And that's exactly what we want you to do, to leap to new heights. So we get into this book. Chapter 1 is the key to unlocking natural success mindset. The key to a mindset. To really understand what the key of the mindset is, we have to understand what a good mindset is. What's a good mindset versus a bad mindset? Now, what does that look like, right? I know a lot of times if I ask you this question, think about a time in your past, and I'll just pause there. Think about a time in your past. I would really argue that many of you, the only types of experiences that you can recall in that moment are negative ones that didn't bring you joy, ones that didn't make you feel so full. Why is it that we remember those more than we remember the moments of joy? Why is it? Well, our mind is definitely rooted in the negative, right? We have to train ourselves every day to think positive. In fact, I have one of those signs right there. One small positive thought a day in the morning can change your whole day. And it can. We immediately jump to the negative. That's how we were built. That's how we were built. That's how we operationalize our environment. Through danger. Right? Is this going to cause me harm? Is this going to do something? Right? You make your decisions constantly based on that. So it's no wonder that you wake up in the morning and you need to tell yourself, wait a minute, it's okay. It's okay. And no, I don't need to bring yesterday's problems into today's world. I don't need to, because I have the power to choose whether or not I want to do it. I have the power. And the only way you have that power is if you believe you have that power. The only way you can believe you have that power is if you practice that power. And the only way you can practice that power is to learn what it entails, to learn what it's about. What does it look like to have a positive mindset? I know a lot of times we sit here, we take a look, and we can be jealous real easily by some of the people we might see on this app, right? By some of the things that we see. It just makes us jealous, because how are these people so happy? Why are these people so happy, right? Are they happy every day? It really makes me think that these people are happy every day and I'm missing out on something in life. And the truth is no. The truth is no. One thing that makes us human is that we have emotions. The difference between us is some of us know how to manage them better than others. Some of them know how to silence the toxic and the negative emotions better than others. And really what all that goes down to is stress and anxiety. It's your response to stress, how you deal with it. If you're anything like me, you go to the refrigerator. It's not a good feeling, but yeah, I have eating disorder, for sure. And when I'm not taking care of me or focusing on me, that refrigerator is going to bring me all the comfort and love that I need and that I'm missing in life. Others take alcohol, drugs. And some of us get so swallowed in our emotions, so swallowed in our stress, that it can even kill us. And I know that's not everybody's intent, but when we start medicating and thinking that those behaviors are somehow going to cancel the negative feelings every day, and you wake up and you recognize that those feelings haven't gone anywhere, because they won't. Why? Because all you did was suppress them. You didn't address them. You didn't cope with them. You didn't rip them up and look them in the face. You didn't analyze them. No. You let them steamroll right over you, and you rolled over, and you let it happen. Am I right or wrong? It comes down to how we manage stress. It comes down to how we wake up, how we show up. And I'm not saying that our lives are hunky-dory. Nobody's life is hunky-dory. Everybody's faced with challenges. Everybody has a unique story. Everybody has lived experiences that some of us will never understand. But golly, we need to have empathy. We need to understand that this journey is not just, we don't have to be alone on it. And the more we allow ourselves to let our emotions control us and to guide us, the more you're not going to be able to think clearly about these situations. And a lot of times we misinterpret situations because we're just on edge. We're stressed out because that's what we wanted them to say. But they didn't say that. That's what you wanted to hear. And you left a conversation with what you wanted to hear, not what somebody said. And now you have a problem with your best friend. Because you allowed your emotions to control and guide you, as opposed to allowing this to guide you in a good way. But it takes effort, folks. A lot of it. And I'm not saying that you can't go through your day and get knocked off your feet, because all of us do. Some of us are more triggered than others about things. You know, we all have some things that are our quirkiness. It makes us unique. It doesn't make us annoying or hard to handle or deal with or hard to manage or hard to be friends with, difficult to be friends with. It makes you unique. And you know what's very respectful and responsible when we have those, especially those, anyone have those friends who overthink like crazy? Overthink. It gets draining after a while. It gets draining because no, I'm not going to live in a world that you're creating for me that I'm not even manifesting. You're making it up. And that's not fair. How dare you? And the other part is that those of us who are really in bad shape, we spend too much time focusing on other people. Too much time criticizing them, judging them. Oh my God, look at them. Oh my God, look at them. Check them out. Oh my God. Oh, it must be nice to be a priss. Must be nice. That's being salty. That's what that is. And it's jealousy. And you only can be jealous when you compare yourself to somebody else. And we learned a few weeks ago, we can't do that. This is your journey, not to be compared with anybody else's journey. This is your journey. You get to write it. You get to live it. You get to do it. But we forget that we even have that power. We forget that we even maintain that power. Why? because we let the outside come in. Listen, we have enough problems in life. You need to have the rest of the world's problems to come in and creep on you and bring you down? No. Why are we so susceptible to that? We need boundaries. That's what we need to do. So the key to unlocking your natural success is mindset. Now, let me remind you that this is chapter 1 of the book Unstoppable Self-Confidence. So these are the words of Andrew Leedham, of course, and I'm just interpreting it in my way and sharing it with you. But we're going chapter by chapter. So this week we're on chapter 1, and that is mindset. And I love how he draws on Carol Dweck's work. Now, Carol Dweck tells us about a fixed mindset versus oh my God. I gotta think. A growth mindset, pardon me. The word just escaped me. And that's very evidence-based and research-based work. So I'm pretty excited to share it with you in a few minutes here. He starts by saying, what if I told you there's nothing wrong with you? That you're not broken and you don't need fixing? That actually the opposite is true, and that you're naturally confident and successful. And all that has happened is that you have been taught and programmed and socially conditioned with a whole series of damaging and limiting thoughts that block your natural success mindset and confidence dead in its tracks. Folks, what we're saying here is that all of us have the ability to be confident in our lives. When you look at somebody who's confident, there's no reason to be jealous of them. I would become curious. Interview them. Ask them how. What do you do? What do you eat for breakfast? What is your routine? What's your self-care routine? What do you do? But yet we become so quick to be turned off by people who are in living life. You know what that's demonstrative of? A Karen. A toxic person. But you can fix it. You sure can. Shift the focus to what matters, what you can control, and that's you. That's it. A lot of us are on these false pretenses that we can't even control our damn kids. Try telling your teenage son to go take the garbage out and tell me how it goes. Okay? Tell me how it goes. Right? Some of them are good. Some of them do well, right? Yes, but for the most part, it's like pulling your hair out. Gets to the point where you just do it yourself. You know? Be honest. Who do you really control? Nobody. Just yourself. And some of us can't even do that. We need to learn the behaviors to help us to be successful in life. We need to learn. And some of us, many of us, including myself, need to unlearn those behaviors that we learned from toxic people. It wasn't your fault. But you ever hear the saying, you fool me once, shame on you? You fool me twice, shame on me. And it's about time we take responsibility for ourselves instead of pushing blame to other people. It's the reason why we feel the way we feel. You are in the cockpit. You are in control of this journey. Nobody else. And so the reason that nothing has seemed to fix you is because you've been coming at the real problem backwards. Because you don't need to load more information, more programming, more conditioning into your mind, you need to do exactly the opposite. Instead, you need to unlearn these behaviors. Now, a lot of us know that when you learn a behavior, when you have something set and straight and you're doing really well with it, and then you have to unlearn it, just think about a task at work. It becomes difficult. I mean, how many times who hates it? Like the toilet paper thing, right? There's another thing, right? the toilet paper thing, or when a door opens, right? When a door opens, you expect it to pull, right? But there's some of them that push, and you pull, and you're like, oh, gee, that's funny. And you feel like an idiot in the moment. And then you're like, oh, I got to push it, right? Because it could go both ways. Because it can. Sometimes it's not always what we expect it to be. But it doesn't mean we have to treat it as a different thing, per se. Right? That's an interesting thought, too. So instead, you need to unlearn these behaviors. You need to unlearn them. So instead of just walking up to the door and pulling it because, you've been conditioned to think that that's the way the door opens, but when you go to the other side of the world and it's pull, you're sitting there trying to pull it, you think it's locked, you're screaming bloody murder, and then somebody comes behind you and just like walks through the door and you're just like, whoa, whoa, how did that happen? It's because it was what we didn't expect. It's what we didn't expect. So most mainstream personal development says that you need to change who you are in order to feel good and become confident and successful. This is not only wrong, but it's deeply damaging. Let's look at it a little closer. The underlying premise of that teaching is that you need to become something different than who you are. What does that tell a person? Well, I guess I was never good enough. Since this is what I got to be. No. So now you feel worse than you did before, even further away from your dreams. So you read more books, right? You go to more courses, you come to things like this to learn some more. Push yourself harder and harder and harder because you feel like you need to fix yourself. Triage, change. Something's wrong with me. Nothing ever works out. I'm always the last one to smile. Last one to feel included. Last one to be picked. Each book you read then reveals more things that you've done wrong, more things that you need to work on, and things where you in some way fall short of who you need to be to feel confident. So all your efforts, everything you've done, all the learning and investments you made have been worth nothing. That's how you were left to feel. Think about all those millions of diets out there. The millions of diets. Gee, well, that's funny. It worked for the person on the TV. Do you know they did a study on all of the Biggest Loser candidates? How many of them remained? Not many. Not many at all. Because what they did for the moment is they were compelled and motivated and in the moment, but they never unlearned those behaviors that got them to where they were. There's a psychological component to it as well. You can't just go on a diet and think that you're going to lose weight. You will, but you'll gain it back. And people wonder why. Why? Well, because all you did was starve yourself for a few weeks. That's it. Tell yourself you couldn't treat yourself. You couldn't have the cheesecake, or you could have a sliver, right? I love that. It's like a little sliver. I'm like, just eat the cake. Damn, enjoy yourself, right? Stop limiting you, because all that limiting that you keep doing to yourself is not helping you in the core. It's not teaching you anything. It's not helping you sustain. We need to really think about, and with intention, our behaviors, what it is that we're doing every day. Is it helping? Is it getting me closer to my goal? If not, then I need to tweak, I need to change, and that's okay. But the last thing you need to do is beat yourself up over it, because you can't. So how do you get back to your natural self-confidence? How do you get back to that? How do you get back to that? How do you get back to that natural self-confidence that we all have, but some of us just don't know how to use? The mind. The human mind. Probably one of the most powerful, amazing, incredible inventions, we'll call it, on the planet. The human mind helps us get places. It solves the world's problems. Makes cars, it makes planes, it makes things that gets us moving and communicate and technology and everything else. But it also can torpedo us, make us feel worthless, useless, not comfortable in our own skin, fat, ugly, rude, horrible, terrible person. Where is it coming from? Why is it happening? I've always said we're given this one chance to walk this planet. One. This one chance. And you want to spend it every day limiting yourself, telling yourself you're ugly, telling yourself you can't, all because a few assholes in previous life told you that, and that's what stuck with you? Life's too short to do that to you. You're worth more than that. You just need to see it. Open your eyes and recognize the power of your mind. If you want to feel lonely, you'll feel lonely because you're focused on wanting a relationship. But if you do not want to feel lonely, you can focus on your personal health. Go for a walk. Get outside. Make those your goals instead of a relationship. Why? Because the only thing you can control is yourself. You can't control a second person. Do you guys remember the movie Aladdin from Disney? I can give you any wishes, but I cannot do what? Make you fall in love or bring people from the dead. You can't. You can't do it. Stop pressuring yourself. If you're single and you want a relationship, you can't manifest it if you dream it and think it. When that stuff comes, it comes when you least expect it, and it does, and you have to believe it. You have to. Because for the past several years or months or whatever, that feeling hasn't changed. And those people that you did date, they became deadbeats. They didn't serve you anything. They didn't bring you any value. If anything, they drained it. They took advantage of you and everything else because you're vulnerable. And it's just like some of these scams out here and some of these account profiles and so forth, right? They'll lure you in. They prey on people who are swallowed by their emotions, who cannot think clearly, who cannot understand that you can't make that happen. It is true. Your mind, your basic foundational core programming is incredible. This brain in here is ingenuity at its best. It's incredible. It's incredible. Think of a newborn baby. Do they have any senses? Are they not worthy? That they shouldn't get what they want? That they can't do something or can't have something? You have to learn these limits in life. It's not your natural way of thinking. You don't come out of the womb and say, "Oh, I'm fat." No. "Oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I can never be loved." We don't come out of the womb saying those things, thinking those things. None of it. Our mind gets spoiled by the environment as we grow up, by allowing the external things in. You didn't protect yourself enough from the external things. That's really what happened. That's why you feel the way you feel. But there's ways to fix it. And we can show you how. We can show you how. There are ways to fix it. The people who are naturally confident and successful are no different from anybody else. They simply, by accident or by design, didn't take on this backwards, muddled thinking that holds back 99% of people. How many percent? 99% of people. That's almost everybody. That means that there's 1% of the population that actually gets it. So most of us are living the same life, trying to figure it out, trying to understand it, trying to get through it. All of us. You never know what's going on with somebody just from the outside. That's why we need to be careful about our greetings to them. Be careful about what we say, what we bring up. You don't know what it could trigger. For all we know, it could be the straw that broke the camel's back. So is it difficult to smile at somebody? Is it difficult to say hello? Is it difficult to ask somebody, how you feeling today? How you doing? You all right? But what goes wrong there? The person you're talking to didn't learn how to share, how to even understand their own emotions, or have the courage to tell somebody else what's going on in their life out of sheer embarrassment, nothing more, because they think for that moment that they are the only person with this. Oh my God, I can't tell anybody that. Oh my God, I'd rather die than tell anybody that. You never know what blessings are out there. And I see steak quesadilla. It's because most people don't genuinely care anyway. Now that's an assumption, young lady. How dare you say that to people who are in this room, people like me? We care. Sure we do. And many people do. You just don't give them the opportunity to care. Because you were conditioned by toxic people, a select few, and they spoiled it all for you. And many of us, myself included, I'm not targeting you by any means. I appreciate you joining in the conversation. But it's true. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. So the human mind, it's a very different journey and one that feels right and natural instead of difficult and hard, right? If we can reconnect with ourselves, if we can understand ourselves, right? The more and more and more we do that, the better off we'll be. The better off we'll be. So then he gets into, say, the wrong blueprint. So on top of that bad programming that the whole world kind of brought into you to make you feel the way you feel, the way you do your behaviors and so forth, the way you demonstrate yourself. On top of the bad program and not being good enough, right, those feelings, worthy enough, talented enough, or good looking enough, whatever it may be, it comes layer up on layer on layer of expectation and constraint about who you should be, what you should want, and what life you should live. All of that. All of the limitations, all of the things that you say to yourself in your witching hour in the mirror is not you. No. It's a combination of bad programming and an expectation and constraint about who you are, what you should want in life, and who you should be, how you should live it, all of that. So now you had your natural talents and confidence blunted, and then you are set off in the direction of life success that isn't your own. It's not yours, somebody else's. You're trying to live that life, and you're trying to meet that bar, meet that expectation, and all while you're doing it, you're destroying your confidence. It's not helping you be confident at all, by any stretch of the imagination. So we're even, if you to succeed in getting there, you failed it because it isn't the life you consciously chose for you. You ever feel like you're stuck in a rut? You can't get out of it? You can't do it? I mean, even people who've been divorced and left that source of toxicity still have struggles getting on their feet afterwards, still have struggles seeing themselves in the mirror, feeling valued, supported, everything else. What you're not realizing is you're still living that life that person wanted you to live for them. And you have not revisited in yourself what it is you want for you. You didn't give yourself that opportunity to think about that. Because all you're focused on is the next best thing. Or how you can get revenge. It takes a lot of effort to hate somebody. It takes a lot of effort to be mad at somebody. It really does. And you spend all that time trying to keep yourself distant from them. And all while, years are going by, and you still don't even know who the hell you are. You still don't even know what you like. You still don't even know what your hobbies are, what brings you joy. You only know that toxic experience at that point. So ask yourself honestly this: is the life you are living now the life you really want? A life you chose and that you created consciously and deliberately, or did it just kind of happen? Sort of a look back and just sort of, how did I evolved here? It's where I come from. 99% of people will say yes to that. Going back to that statistic, right? It wasn't what you're destined to do. You were manipulated and shaped into what you should be. Not for you, for them. Not for you, but for them. So who are you living for? You or them? Whose life is this? Yours or theirs? It's your question. You need to answer it. You created the life you live today just as any other person has. The problem is that you weren't consciously aware of the plan you were working toward and the one that was given to you by your parents, teachers, and friends. And because you weren't aware of it, you didn't really stop and consider whether this was the right plan for you, if you're headed in the right direction, if you were comfortable with where it's at. No, your comfort went into the other person because you were paying too much attention to the other person in life, perhaps, if that's your situation. So, and because you weren't aware of it, you really didn't stop and consider it was the right thing. So have you ever taken the time to think about where your model of world comes from? Have you ever stopped to think? That is a specific blueprint that you follow in your own life, which includes your core beliefs, your values, your boundaries, your rules that you've given yourself that govern your entire life. How much time did you take to figure out what you really wanted in life? How much time did you really spend to it? How much time did you really think about it? Because a lot of us don't even know what we want. Just pause for a second. Is this the life you want? Or is it being controlled by somebody else? By your fears? Jealousy? Or a toxic person, a narcissist for that matter? Your life is too valuable to allow somebody else in the driver's seat. I said before, we have this one chance to live. One. Take care of your body. We were only given this one body to walk this earth with. And most of us spend our time destroying it because we don't know how to manage stress. Alcohol, drugs, food, you name it, whatever it is, it's a stress. And you need to take care of you because you are number one. You are important. You matter. That's the goal. That's what you need to do. So for 99% of those people who answered no to that, right? They don't really know what they want. They want what they have been preconditioned to want. They want what their parents told them they should want. They want what their partners say they should want. They want what their friends think everyone should want. They want what their teachers taught them they should want. And they want what society expects you to want. You know what? Most of us live in that frame. Most of us are afraid to even show our true selves because of that harm that might come toward us about it. Especially now more than ever. As a young child, you knew exactly what you wanted. And it didn't matter at all what other people thought about it. You never considered living anyone else's rules or someone else's rules. Life was wide open for you. And you knew you could be, you could do, and have anything. When you were a kid, what were you going to be? Oh, I'm sure. I was going to be a firefighter. I was going to be a millionaire 100 times. And I was going to win a lottery. Dreaming. For some reason, as we get older, we can no longer dream. I remember as a kid, I used to put these little plastic figurines with just a face on it, the little G.I. Joes, and create this whole battlefield and all this commotion going on. And oh my God, whoa. A piece of plastic. And in our adult lives, we can't even do that. We can't even allow ourselves to dream. We don't even know how to dream. We lost our ability to dream because we've been robbed. We've been kidnapped by other people, by society, by these things, by who and what people are telling us we should be. Instead of following what our destiny was in the beginning, and we questioned ourselves. We allowed that to happen. And it's time for us to take it back. It's time for us to take it back. 2 critical questions that defines, am I enough? Will I be loved? 2 critical questions at the core of everybody, drives their everything. Am I enough? Will I be loved? Our darkest fear, often hidden away, is somehow, in some way, we are not enough. Or that in some way we're fundamentally unloved. Because being enough and being loved are core, almost primal needs. Fulfilling them causes you to override every other choice you make. Stupid love. I'll do anything for love. Stupid love. And you can become unconsciously self-destructive in the process in order to meet those needs. You ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? First is those basic. Food, shelter, water. Then sex and love. You need that in order to reach your optimal level of success. I understand that. We're human. We thrive in groups. We thrive in partnerships. We do. We do. So you stop focusing on what you want, and instead you allow these other things to hop in the driver's seat. Gets kidnapped. The moment you lose sight on what you want in your life, it will be hijacked. It will. So now in order to be accepted and to loved, you start twisting your own model and blueprint to align it with those rules of how you can be loved and how you can feel that. So slowly, bit by bit, over time, you stop being aware of what you really want, and you start becoming more and more aligned with the blueprint of what people said you should be. You lost sight of that. Why? Because it's uncertain. Because there's no roadmap. There's no book in life to help me, guide me, show me the way. There's none of that. Truly. There's none of it. So you feel bad because you're working harder and harder to achieve the dream, right? That isn't even yours. Wasn't yours to begin with. You're working really hard to live that life that doesn't align with your real values and identity from when you were born. And you're striving to become a person that isn't aligned with your true passions, your true self, your true identity, who you are, what brings you joy. You've lost that. Internal conflict becomes inevitable in that situation. Internal conflict. And the biggest problem is hardly anyone is even aware that they're having this conflict in their mind between, is this what I want or is this what I'm supposed to do? It almost becomes complicit. You almost become complicit. You're an accomplice to those negative stimuli in our environment, and you're allowing them to topple you at the same time. And you can choose whether or not you allow that to topple you or not. That's your choice. So the first step on that journey is, which you've just taken, is become aware that you are following somebody else's blueprint. Say it out loud. My God, I have not been living the life I wanted. I'm living the life that they wanted for me, or this one wanted for me, or that one wanted for me. Say it loud. Get mad. Get mad. There is incredible power in simply observing without judging how your thoughts, actions, and choices all align with the model that you didn't choose. Now you can start to see where the problems, the pain, the confusion about whether this is real or right, the choices that didn't work for you. So you need to shift. You need to spend some time on you. Understanding who you really are. You're not a bad person. You've just been conditioned and guided under false pretenses, under a guise of this is the way you should be. So how do you do that? Focus on changing your own behavior. Your own behavior. How do you fix it? How do you unwind this web that you've gotten yourself into? You have to shift your focus to you. And only you. And I know it's hard. Some mothers out there, single moms especially, you're entitled to rest. You're entitled to your pamper time. You're entitled to treat yourself. No, you don't have to shop at Goodwill because, you want to make sure that your kids wear Abercrombie and Fitch. Buy yourself Abercrombie and Fitch. Buy yourself. Treat yourself too. You are human. And every time you make those decisions, you dehumanize yourself. You put yourself less than anything else. Less. And you do that long enough and multiple times and over and over and over and over and over again. And you wonder why you're deflated when the kids go to bed. You wonder why you don't feel fulfilled or your cup is filled. You wonder why that is for you. And it's because you allowed yourself to live a life that wasn't yours, wasn't your destiny. You transformed, you conformed, and you were complicit in the process. So we get into mindset, because this is what this is all about, okay? How do we fix this? We need a shift between a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. How do we untangle or begin to untangle this web? Well, the first thing you need to do is come up with a quick plan. Make sure you walk for 20 minutes a day or every other day. Make sure you drink a lot of water, plenty of it. Your body needs the water. I know a lot of us don't like water, but you need to do it. And sleep. And I know that's tough, but guess what? When you put yourself out there and you walk and walk and walk and walk and walk every day and you stay consistent, you might not still be sleeping. The other behaviors might still be letting you down. You might still be binging. You might still be drinking. You might still be whatever. But whatever you do, get those walking shoes on and get outside. Because after the first 2 minutes you get outside, you're going to start to feel wholesome again. The sun is going to start to rejuvenate you. And your endorphins will start to release. And you'll start to feel good. But you won't do it unless you push yourself. Because you haven't been doing it all the time, right? So the fixed versus the growth mindset. This is where we are. We're in the fixed, right? Fixed mindset is intelligence and ability are static. So it leads to a desire to look smart and therefore a tendency to avoid challenges, give up easy, see effort as fruitless or worse, ignore useful negative feedback, feel threatened by the success of others, and as a result, they may have a plateau early and achieve less in their full potential. Whereas somebody with a growth mindset, during challenges, they embrace them. Bring it on. Bring it on. Try me. Obstacles. Persist in the face of setbacks. Guess what? Nobody learns unless you fail. Everybody's failed. You are not a failure because you failed. You're human. That's what you are. Your effort. You see effort as the path to mastery. Now, whereas before, all those efforts that you've been putting into your change have made you feel like the failure. No, it was the wrong things you were learning. The wrong strategies you were applying to your life, the wrong things, right? It's not going to come in a book. There's not one book that's going to help you. Criticism. I learn from it. Tell me give me your feedback. I want to hear you. I want to know what you have to say. I don't fear your feedback. I don't translate your feedback into, making myself go further down the tubes. No, I invite it because I want to do better. That's what I'm committed to. You need to be committed to wanting to do better the next time. So you need to allow yourself to fail. You need to stop beating yourself up for it because you're not a failure. You need to learn. And what you need to learn is just new behaviors, new ways of navigating the environment. Success of others should not be something that you fear or feel threatened by. You should find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. You should feel inspired by that. You should feel curious about that. Well, gee, I aspire to be that in my life. Why don't I try to figure out what the secret sauce is? Is there a secret? And truth be told, there really isn't. We are all built the same way. I mean, some of us are less fortunate than others. I get that. I get it. But you have all the tools you need to be a confident and an amazing, incredible you. The problem is that you allowed the world to creep in and tell you differently, tell you otherwise. Whether it had been a negative relationship, whether it had been a teacher, somebody in the past, a pastor, it doesn't matter who it was or where it came from. The truth is that you allowed that to happen. And the point is today that you must commit to self again. I'm going to change this. And we need to understand your lived experiences. You need to reflect on all those in order for you to change, to even begin to understand what you've been through and how what you've been through implicates how you feel today. It's the truth. With that, I say, I can't wait till next week because we're going to get into how to understand your emotions. The Basics 101. If you're new to me and you enjoyed this, please hit that follow button. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going through this book, Unstoppable Self-Confidence by Andrew Leedham. Today we just finished chapter 1. Next Thursday we will go to chapter 2. And I really look forward to seeing you. Hope you enjoyed today's session. I'll see you soon, everybody. Big hugs. You're amazing, incredible people. Don't ever forget, we're all in this together. We're in this journey together. We're in this journey to better ourselves, to be better for everything else in our life. If you are not okay, your family's not going to be okay. They'll suffer. Everybody will. But more so you. You have this one shot to make the most of what a gift of life was given to us. And I always say this, the creation of life is both beautiful and magical and purposeful, that it even took its time to create you. You're not a mistake. You belong here. You are loved, you are appreciated, you are valued. You just need to open your mind to see what a joy and a blessing you truly are. And you'll get there, week by week, with us. You're the best. We'll see you next week.